Hello and welcome back to Bricking It. A little later on in the video we're going to be looking at various of the modules that currently inhabit our room requirement, but for the first part of our video we're going to be building a trophy room. I'm going to start off with a plate layer. Now because of the way my room requirement is built, I actually need to be back beyond the base plate to be able to touch the back wall of the room of requirement. So we're going to start off just here with a couple of these nice gold shield pieces for a little bit of detail. Then above these, I'm going to take these headlights and these gold plates. Put a couple of them on there. These are going to go on top of the shields. And with a few more, I'm just going to create kind of one of these old-timey honour rolls where you might have a list of past head boys and girls, or maybe winning Quidditch teams or something like that. That's our honour roll up on the wall. And most of this wall is just made out of plain panels. The detail is going to be in front. I'm going to use these gold curly bits to make our honour roll look a little bit more impressive. Just ramp up the detail in this display. Then in front of it we're going to place this large cup, and maybe this is the Quidditch cup, and the holders of it are recorded on that honour roll behind. Over on this side we're not going to keep the build symmetrical, because on this side we're putting a display cabinet featuring the Gryffindor Quidditch shield, James Potter's name on it. Make our display case, I'm going to use one of these window pieces. We just tilt the bricks back just to allow this to pass the studs. We can then display our shield inside the display case. I want to make sure that's fully integrated into the build, so we're going to use these corner bricks just to help integrate that front, and then just to balance the colour from side to side of the build we're going to pop a couple more of these shield pieces on here, just so it's not quite so brown on that side of the build. I'm going to use this panel piece here because I want to put a slightly wider part in on top of these golden shield pieces, and that's going to be a mandatory glow in the dark piece. Just going to use one of these glowing heads and pop a couple of goblets either side just to balance the build a bit. So that's the two sides. Now the main display in the centre is going to be built on this small shelf. Just going to build this up with a couple of layers, because this is the look we're going for. Just loads and loads of trophies all scattered about the place. So that's the display that's going to hold our trophies. These are nice and simple. Got one of these MIDI bricks, about 2 plates high. Just going to take a goblet and then a stud on top just to give it a lid. And that's the first of our trophies. These are all going to be very, very simple builds, nothing too extravagant. We're going on quantity over quality. Just got a plate, a round plate with a hole in it. A plate with bar holding up a star to be our next little trophy. This one's just the same as the first, except obviously in gold, and then we've just stuck one of these pyramid studs on top just to make the lid a bit more fancy. Simple jewel into a round plate. Another one of those cups with a slightly less deep base, just 1 plate high. The Golden Frog Award. I'm sure this is given out for care of medical creatures or something. This one's just made out of a horn. I was just trying to vary it up and get a bit more interest across the selection. Didn't want them all to be the same kind of cup size and shape. This one's got a snitch on top. Some kind of best seeker award. Another one with a horn, this time on a cone. And just to keep that silver scattered nicely throughout, we're going to cross one over onto the other side. A few simple cups in to fill in the bulk of the background. And then to cap it all off, we've got this award. I have no idea what it is. It's just a nice selection of gold pieces that make an interesting shape. If you've got any idea what this could be an award for, do leave it in the comments below. Some kind of offensive herbology by the looks of things. Going to add a little table because Ron needs somewhere to sit when he's doing his detention, which is the scene in which this room features in the books. The trophy room, of course, is also used as the setting for the Tri-Wizard Champions. Alright. So here is the room requirement. I'm sure you've seen it before, but it has slightly changed. Well, the back hasn't changed. Still got those old sticker panels. But instead of being hangers on the top to keep our second levels up, we've got these little shelves so that the upper floor displays can just sit on those new rails. So we're going to go through a few of our interiors. The first is the most simple, and it's just a corridor, a couple of suits of armour, and this is going to be a nice generic one to fit in anywhere. Got the fluffy encounter on the top. It's a placeholder for when we get some of our portraits in the most recent wave. You can see that the plate just sits on top of those, and we've got an extra plate underneath just to bring it all in line. So we can have our minifigs strolling around the corridor or upstairs recreating this scene with the Golden Trio trying to shut the door on Fluffy and keep him contained. So another scene from the Philosopher's Stone is of course the Mirror of Erised. So we're going to build up the pillared room where the mirror is stored using these pillar bases. Now these are the floating pillars that I've used in the room requirement before. As you can see, the pillars come all the way to the floor in the original movie. The Mirror of Erised is such a large piece, and I really like the stickers, so I didn't really want to make a custom one just to make it a couple of studs smaller. It does need to take up, it crosses the barrier between one floor and another, so I used the pillars just to fill up the space. It's not often going to be on display. It's really appropriate only really around Christmas time. Of course, we move on to our Chamber of Secrets displays, and here we get the trophy room where Ron's going to be deserving his detention for the damage of the Whomping Willow, and where we'll end up throwing up slugs all over a special award for services to the school. I forgot to tile this off, so I'll just do that right now. There we go, it's a bit neater and stop any stud clashes as we push the unit into place. It's a bit back heavy this one, so it takes a bit of a wiggle to get it in, but there we go. That's our trophy room. This is a nice pairing with the writing on the wall. It's our Chamber of Secrets scene. So again, these really need the minifigures to make the scene. I'm sure we'd have Ron and Filch downstairs, then upstairs Harry. He's wandering around listening to the voices in the pipes. Defense Against the Dark Arts Teacher's Office is a lower module build. It's made up of quite a simple fireplace, because the fireplace does feature, especially when it's Umbridge's office. I wanted to make sure there was a fireplace in the Dada Teacher's office. The floor slides in, and depending who we're showing, it will depend on what furniture we get. So this desk, brown wood with black leather top, is based on the one that appears in Lockhart's office in the movies. To show it's him, we're going to have a stack of fan mail, signed photographs, and of course his wig stand as well. That's going to be Lockhart's office. I've got a chair for this office. I don't know why I don't put it in on this display. Now when he's packing to leave, you see this massive pile of crates, so we can use this trunk to represent his luggage. And this cupboard and shelves, just going to be a standard bit of furniture, no matter who the Dada teacher is. So it's still there for Lupin. We're going to put in an extra cupboard, because he's got plenty in the background of his office. A couple of knickknacks on the top there. Then on the desk, pile of textbooks or homework. Obviously the confiscated Marauders map. And just put in a lamp. Gives me an excuse for another glow in the dark part. Of course, in here we could also store the gramophone when it's not being used in the Goblet banishing lesson. Moody's office is pretty stark. There's not a lot in there. Do need to get a couple of faux glasses in. And really all he has in there is a very small table for fine-tuning his leg. Why not put a lamp on it? It's a bit out of proportion, isn't it? Maybe not. And of course the chair. And the bit you all know is missing is the trunk. That definitely should be in this scene. Staying on Goblet of Fire, Moody's office pairs nicely with the prefect's bathroom. It's the only other scene that we use for Goblet of Fire. That's built to be a top level one. This is basically exactly the same build I made in my prefect's bathroom video, just obviously with the external walls removed and all the same internal detail as it had before. And then down the bottom here, like I said, Moody's office, we can just put a simple corridor for minifig display. And on to Umbridge. This is still a work in progress. Need to get some pink curtains rather than those wedge pieces in random colours. In the photo you can see there's a cabinet just on the right hand side, and so I've replicated that here. And of course the cat plates on the wall. That's the back wall to Umbridge office. Uses the same base as all the others, so we need to get that wall in first. And of course the fireplace plays an important role in that's the whole reason they break into Umbridge's office in the first place, to access the fire to talk to Sirius. Although Umbridge does have a rounder desk, I'm not going to use the same one just to save duplicating furniture, but we can add in a little side desk for Harry's detentions. And the teacup finishes the scene. Another scene for Order of the Phoenix. Obviously in this film the room of requirement actually becomes the room of requirement, and we can replicate Neville's finding of it by putting in the lovely door piece from the official set. Another tall piece, so it does take up the whole module. And of course the DA training room. This uses elements from the old room of requirement set, such as fireplace sticker. Slightly modified it from the previous version of this so that the fireplace would fit just in the bottom half, just in case we want to do this as a split module with another piece. But largely, if you've seen the previous video, this module is just the same. Got our checkered floor and our blackboard, or our old mirror rather. And that's our new training room scene. Of course, got a couple of accessories for this one. Death Eater dummy, and then a couple of Patronuses that we can scatter around during the Patronus lesson. Like I said, now you can see that this is now just below the divider, so we can put another unit display on top. Now these are the pillars. Now these would normally display here, but now that I've taken away the hangers from the top, there's nowhere to actually set them in. So until I can work out a new way to hold up these floating pillars and that lovely chandelier, our training room is going to be more suited to a single level module. On the back here you see we've got a couple of house badges, so because this set of pillars was also used during the DA camp scene, which we'll have a look at a little bit later. At the moment though, I tend to pair it up with the swamp corridor. Of course, Fred and George, when they decided they were going to leave, went for all kinds of extreme shenanigans. One of them was turning the upstairs corridor into a swamp, and poor old Mr. Filch was tasked with punting the students across the swamp so they could get to classes. So that's what we're depicting in this scene. Moving on to Half-Blood Prince, and the Room of Hidden Things is much more the type of room of requirement we spend time in. So here is a double-sided display. On this side we've got the Vanishing Cabinet, and that's how it's going to spend most of its time during Half-Blood Prince displays. You can see there we've got Ravenclaw's diadem as well. But on the other side, for that other visit, we have Harry's advanced potion making, and that chest and trunk out in front can be removed if we want to place Harry and Ginny in the scene. Now luckily our floating pillars do work in this display, because obviously they've got the display cases to sit onto. You can just stud onto that and our room of requirement can be a nice tall scene, just like the official set and indeed the way it's depicted in the movies. So that's a room of hidden things. In Deathly Hallows we get two different versions of the use of the room of requirement. The most impressive of course is Fiendfire when they head into the room of hidden things looking for the diadem. Here we've got Harry on his broomstick. That extra too long bar that he's carrying that has got the diadem studded into the end, it means that we can actually stud Malfoy's hand on and he can ride two up on the broom with Harry. And of course we can also use our lovely pillars on top of our display cases. This one's just single-sided, but as I said there is a second display for the Deathly Hallows, and that's the DA hideout. This one's gone back to being what I described as a work in progress, mainly because although the base will stay the same, we've still got to come up with something to do with these pillars. They're not going to fit anymore. And they have one of the more interesting details of the hideout, which is these hammocks, which are suspended from the pillars and crisscross across to the walls. And in the fullness time I'll work out how I'm going to display this, but it's not going to be like this. The most generic and useful in all times if I'm not doing any particular scene, and the one that I usually have on display, is the moving staircase. This is a nice module that makes use of the 4 height. Very simple staircase on a turntable. Then for the top half of the build we've got these 2 landings, one for the portrait hole and one for the entrance to Dumbledore's office. The stairs lead up to these 2 small balconies that guide you through to the 2 hidden entrances. This just sits on the rail, it takes a bit of a jiggle just to get that back row of plates up onto and engaging with the step at the back, and once they slide on they wrap around and give us our 2 landings. Got a nice suit of armour at the back, just elevated on a little plinth so you can see it without the stairs obscuring it. That's probably one of my favourite interiors that sits in Hogwarts on a daily basis. So there we go, there's a quick tour of our room requirement and a look at our trophy room build. Hogwarts is sadly packed away at the moment due to happenings at the house, so I don't have access to all the modules, so I don't know what my next build video is going to be. Maybe I'll have a look at a couple of the hidden scenes I've been working on, but in the meantime let me say thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video please do leave us a like. Let us know in the comments down below if there's anything you would like to see, and please subscribe to Bricking It. Bye bye.